Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome back and welcome to the review of the Yamaha DGX670 88 key digital keyboard or digital piano keyboard, whichever you prefer. Weighted keys as well, just like the real thing. Well, not exactly the same as the real thing, but pretty close anyways. So, I got this at Long & McQuade. If you've checked out my initial first impressions video, so $1,149, I believe, is still worth every penny, even though I'm only giving this thing a 4 out of 5. The reason for that is when it comes to these sound effects sections. So if you go under drums and percussion, and you go over to page 4, you'll find Noise Kit, SFX Kit 1, and SFX Kit 2. This is where all the sound effects are going to live, like your gunshots, your applause, your helicopter, which in this case is absolutely ridiculous for a helicopter, because, yeah, that's not a helicopter. You have no control, right? Where when you have something like the 650, the 660, and of course this 453 beside me, which I had to repurchase back from Long & McQuade, because this is one of the things I used as trade-in toward getting this thing. I had to buy this back because, yeah, I need all those effects that are in the sound effects area, and I need control. So helicopter on this one, of course, I can start out here, but I can go to any key and get different tones, right? And of course, you know, this is like, you know, touch response as well. So the harder you press, the more volume is going to be produced and so on. Okay, but of course not weighted keys on the 453. But of course it's more of a beginner type of keyboard. It's not a professional level kind of thing like this. But this is good for beginners, intermediate, and of course advanced or pro players, right? And you can definitely use this thing for playing professionally live anywhere with if you want to. It does have a microphone input jack on the back as well, which is only a 1/4 inch jack. Okay, you are going to be kind of limited to your selection of microphones. The Shure SM57 and 58, for example, beautiful vocal mics, but unfortunately they don't have enough output to gain ratio to work properly with this keyboard. Now that was something that Long & McQuade had mentioned to me. I've tested that since, and they are quite correct that the SM58 is not going to work, nor will the 57. But the PGA series mics, which are great vocal mics for karaoke, they're great for just regular everyday talking, they are perfect mics for this. The gain works properly, everything is fine. Okay, so not a big deal there. Besides, it's 50 bucks with the cable. That's a pretty good deal. That was on sale though. So they're probably back up to regular $60 now on regular price, which is fine too. But you may be able to get one cheaper somewhere else, like even Amazon. But as far as the SM series of mics goes, they're not going to be suitable mics for this. There's something about the microphone and the way it works, and in order to work with something like this kind of a keyboard, it would need some sort of a cable with a special transformer in it, or an independent box unit of some sort that would do the trick in order to work right. So yeah, you know, it was kind of simpler. Just buy a $50 mic and away you go, and you've got everything set perfect. But when it comes to the SFX kit, you don't even know where you are at. There's no list of any sounds. It's just, you go to the kit, you know, go onto this kit. Wow, there's like thunder. And I think that's a stream. Right? But you have no shower. You have no idea what you're doing. At least on the 650, the 660, and of course the 400 series, you get the name up top of what sound you're playing, and you get full access to all the keys, so you get all those frequency response ranges to get the best suitable sound for what you need for that special effect. So Yamaha, get your act together and fix this problem. Now I believe solely that just a firmware update alone, they could just have the firmware update annihilate these three little categories here on the menu, put just a separate, well, they would have to extend it with pages in this case, because no extra button, but extend it with pages to increase the page count to take care of all of those special effects sounds and give us each sound on every single key the same sound for all the different levels of that sound. They could do that with a simple firmware update, because if you look at the way you access those special effects on the other keyboards of the 600 series and the 4s, you have to go through and find the number, right? And it'll bring it up. And there's no real special section really per se. It's wherever it's at, pretty much in the list. It's not in an order of any kind, but they could actually do this where, okay, so your last kit is the analog kit on page 4. Well then let's start out the starting of the end of page 4, because you get, what is it, 1, 2, 5 choices per side of page, right? So it's kind of like a book. So take this side, start it here with special effects, give us page 5, page 6, page 7, page 8, which would all be all of those effects. Now who cares what order they're in, as long as we get them and they work properly. This whole thing of push and it just ramps itself right up, absolutely ridiculous. So that's something too, and you get a lot of dead keys, right? Because you don't know what's going on where. So I think that a firmware update would fix that. But in the next keyboard after this, which we're kind of all thinking might be a 680, maybe what they should do with the 680 series is add the extra button category here as SFX button, right? Because you got buttons for all your pianos, button for all your accordions and organs, guitar, bass, strings, choir. You get the idea, right? So put one here for, call it noise and FX. I really don't care. Just give it a button and assign its own pages, its own editing capabilities, and away you go, right? I mean, that would make sense. And we'd be all happy with everything. Now, in total though, I gotta say guys, I'm extremely floored with this keyboard. It is so much easier, simpler to use. The way they've categorized everything, even on your styles, it's not just a button, you know, or a button here, and then you got all this list stuff. It's much more better organized, much better laid out. And of course, you got a lot of new beats here too, which is kind of nice. A lot of new other voices as well. Ways of getting around and editing that we can now do that we couldn't do before. All that jazz. I mean, there is a lot here, right? Our headphone output jack, you can have it as straight headphones, or you can just have it as a straight output jack. Go to your PA that way. If you really want the onboard speakers, you can turn the onboard speakers on and have the output go into your PA system at the same time, so you can still hear yourself playing, which is great. It's what you need anyways on stage. You need to hear yourself. And everything you do with the microphone being plugged in goes through these speakers too, right? So if I turn on the mic here, hello, 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 hello. And you can set up the gain, you can set up your amount of effect you want, that sort of thing, right? So you can do a lot. And bass, mid, treble, and intermediate sweeps for each one of those as well. So you can really fine tune your vocals to work with this thing. The accompaniment thing, also very cool, right? Hit your beat. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And it's kind of like having a band with you. Now I gotta get over here to the grand piano here. Now that is one thing too, is it can actually change in that way on you, right? There's ways around all that stuff too. The thing can do some pretty sophisticated things, but it ends at F sharp, so from G point on here, it's not going to change anything unless you accidentally hit the key like I just did. So if we go into key, idea. It's kind of hard to play with a cast on. But yeah, there's an awful lot. And you don't have to have accompaniment either. You can just, you know, straight beat and your accompaniment thing stays off. But But you also got different like, fills and transition modes from, chorus to verse and all that you can do. There's all kinds of stuff, right? There's a multi-track recording system in this too, so you can record your performances, whether it's just at home or live, whatever. Plug in a USB stick, format it the way it wants it to be done, because you have to use this formatting routine for some reason. So it works, but it will work on your computer, not to worry, when you transfer it over. And of course you do have a in and out MIDI jack on the back as well. Now, as to using this as a MIDI controller, right now the word on the internet is no. I mean, the thing's only been out for a year. Nobody's done all the programming through the MIDI section. I've been experimenting with the MIDI section though through the menu. So a quick touch of the menu button gets you into a lot of your settings here. And of course you go into the next menu and you'll find MIDI in here. And you just scroll over to MIDI, press enter. Now right now it says MIDI itself is turned off. But it also has other MIDI settings as well, which you can manipulate. And I was kind of messing with them a little bit and it really didn't make any difference to try and use it as a MIDI controller. Okay, so what probably has to happen is I have to activate the main MIDI itself and maybe turn off those other features, or I'll figure it out. Okay, if there's a way to do it, I will figure it out and I will let you know what I had to go through to do it. Because I did have a MIDI controller keyboard. I actually had the an older M-Audio 88 key with semi-weighted keys. I got rid of it because, I kind of ended up going into this thing, and then I got this thing, and then this thing had to go because I got this one, and then the big MIDI went at the same time because I figured, hey, all my problems are solved here. Apparently not. So I got this back thinking, okay, maybe I can do it with this one. Apparently not. But I do at least get all my sounds where I need them. Okay? And I can easily record anything I want off this into my DAW anyway, right? But at least now I have full control over all of the sounds, including all the SFX, right? And the SFX stuff is the only thing I care about on this keyboard here anyways, but it does give me other beats too, and other things that I can do to add along with this thing. So it's kind of like a bit of a bonus that way, even though I shouldn't have had to buy this keyboard, but I wanted my sound effects the way I want them, and I want the availability and to use them the way I'm used to using them, which I can no longer do on this one. So there is that. So that's the big reason why I'm only giving this a 4 out of 5, is because of that sound effect area. And Yamaha, they definitely could fix this with a firmware patch update. It wouldn't be that big of a deal. And then on the next series keyboard, just put a button category for special effects and allow us everything that we're used to, right? Makes sense? I think so too. Besides, it wouldn't cost that much extra. But anyhow, it does not come with a stand, okay? Buy your own stand if you want to, especially if you have no intentions of using their 3-pedal unit. Then you can just use any stand that is going to hold the weight of this thing, which is only 47 pounds. Okay, I bought a really heavy duty stand because this stand also is a professional quality stand. It also lifts up for being able to play standing up or all the way down. Perfect for sitting with. Okay, and fold away, and gives the computer its, or not computer, gives the keyboard, sorry, gives the keyboard its actual true purpose of being a portable piano. Okay, you pick it up, put it on your arm, throw it in the trunk, take the stand, collapse it, throw it in the trunk, go to your gig, have fun, right? If you have the wood stand for this, which you can purchase separately, two things happen here. Number one, the bonus is easy, simple mount up of their 3-pedal unit if you choose to buy that. Otherwise, just stick with the included sustain pedal or have your own sustain pedal going through the aux jack. There is a special port dedicated just for the 3-pedal unit, and rightly so. Okay, so that would be the benefit of the stand, except the stand now creates a new hassle for you if you want the portability aspect and have the entire thing portable. Okay, there's also problems with that. Number one, wood stands do not extend in height. They're fixed height, so no stand up and play. Next is the hassle of unscrewing everything just to get the darn piano off. Then you got to disassemble your stand too, unless you have room in a van and you're using a van, which a lot of people, well, some musicians would have. I just have a little peanut car, so I'd have to disassemble the entire stand into pieces every time I would want to take this to a gig. this is not going to work because eventually that stand is just going to wear out pretty quick from assemble, reassemble, assemble, reassemble, assemble, it just makes no sense, right? So for me, I'm keeping the stand that I have because I prefer it, even though I'm not gigging with this thing because I'm not that great of a piano player yet. But I am going to get the 3-pedal unit, but I'm going to build my own dedicated footprint box that's going to be high quality and pro done, that I'm going to mount that thing onto, and that's going to solve my problem right there, so I don't have to buy their stand because I already have one that I bought for this thing. So there are options out there, okay? Other than that, we do have more tutorial videos we're going to do. This is just the review, right? So we want to try and keep this short. So in the overall spectrum of things, yes, we got great quality sound, good output, especially once you start getting past 12 o'clock on the dial there, it starts to get much louder. Even where it's sitting now at around 1 o'clock, that's still pretty loud even for this room, okay? I mean, that's pretty good. And it can get pretty obnoxious. I can go full blast with this. Right? And because it's touch response like a real deal, hey, the louder you hit it, the more you hit it, the louder it gets, the quieter. Right? And the volume's a full blast, right? So, you get the idea. Anyway, there's tons more. We have the piano room in here as well. We can manipulate lids on pianos for different sound effects that would happen with that in the real world too. We can choose different rooms, okay? Cathedrals, recital hall, studio, room, that sort of thing. So we have that. Full color display, totally bonus. The karaoke kind of deal you can do with this. There's a lot of built-in songs here. I haven't gone through them yet, but you know, you can display songs that have chords and words. You can have the full music score sheets up. I mean, hey, if the file has it supported into it, it will show it on screen. That is freaking cool. Especially if you're going to do a karaoke jam kind of thing and you can have your lyrics going up on the screen. That's really neat. Anyway, so yeah, and of course we have the multi-track, like I said. Very simple to mess around with USB audio, mic settings, etc. Overall, I would say, given what this thing has, its capabilities, how do we fare it against previous generations of the 650 and the 660? Well, they were fantastic machines, and at least the sound effects area was very simple to mess with. But this thing has a lot more advanced features and capabilities over either one of those. So, I mean, if this thing would have been available as the 660, for example, if this would have been the 660, what would they have come up with now, right? But this is a 670 nonetheless. I find that if you want life to be much more simplistic, then yes, this is definitely not so overwhelming on the main level. Where it gets overwhelming and intimidating is when you try to edit different voicings and stuff and different features of the piano. That can be very intimidating, more so than the last generations. But the last generations had their capabilities too, but they were a little bit more confusing. This is a little bit more better laid out, I find, but still very intimidating because so much information you got to think about, okay, what am I going to do here? But at least if you screw something up, just turn it off, hold down the high C key over here, turn it back on, keep holding it down until it's done its reset, and all your boo-boos go away, right? Now there is some stuff it will not reset, and that's fine. It's supposed to be like that. Do download the manual, by the way, so you can learn more and more about this. We do have the pitch bender as well. They can bend virtually every sound. You know, so that's kind of a cool feature. I love the pitch benders. So I would still recommend this thing regardless. I would still have no problem. I mean, I own this thing, and you know, if I had to go out knowing what I know now to buy it, I would kind of be, I can't honestly give you an answer because I'm really pissed about what they've done with this sound effect area, and that to me is kind of a, I shouldn't have to own two keyboards just to get that one last section capability, right? But on the other side of the fence, I'm kind of in because the layout, the accessibility, I want every piano, there it is, right? Every piano. I want every organ and accordion, there it is. I don't have to scroll through menus, punch in numbers, and then figure things out, right? It's there, and there's 10 choices per page. And, you know, depending on what category you're in, I mean, we have 5 pages of just pianos, right? We have 6 pages of organs and accordions, guitars and basses. We have 6 pages of that. Strings and choirs. We have 4 pages of that, and so on and so on. I mean, the layout is nice, you know, and how they also, you know, categorize with a graphic icon picture. Hey, that's a French horn. Yeah, it looks like one too. Good. We got French horns. We select that just so simply, and away you go, right? I mean, that is very nice. So I'm kind of in either way, I think. But I am quite happy with it. You know, I'm not taking it back just because of one thing that really cheeses me off, but it's going to cheese off more than just me. So I think we all need to, you know, all of us that are upset about this thing with the sound effect area, really need to get on Yamaha's case about the firmware needing to be updated in a way in which would work properly to give us our full access again to what we've always had, right? So this way we don't have to have even a second cheaper keyboard to have those same exact effects that are still in this. They're just not that easily accessible. And they're kind of pointless the way it's set up, because it makes it very unusable when you only have one key and that's it for that sound, and it's going to build itself to its peak envelope, and it's like, that's not usable in music. You know, I don't know what they're thinking. But anyways, so that's kind of where I sit with this thing, guys. And why, of course, like I said, we're doing the whole 4 out of 5 with it. And still highly recommended either way. You know, I mean, it is a fantastic machine. It really is. And Yamaha keeps getting better and better and better at stuff. And yeah, you know, so hopefully we see what they do. Maybe they might do a firmware update. They get enough complaints, they probably will. You know, and hopefully when they release the next version piano, that it's even better and better and better. We'll see how that one goes too, because I just might actually have to buy that one, and you know, if the next one is, you know, far superior to this, and you know, around the same kind of money, and then I'll ditch this thing somewhere, you know what I mean? So, and I will let you guys know about that MIDI thing, if we can actually use this as a controller. Right now, like I said, the internet says no. I'm thinking there may be a way. There's enough programmability within that MIDI area. It should theoretically be able to be utilized in that sense, but we'll see what happens. In the meantime, thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned for more tutorials, by the way, on this keyboard, and I have some other stuff I'm working on over the next little bit. And while I'm out of work, hey, I got lots of time on my hands till this thing comes off and I go back to work. So I'll have a lot of different things I'm going to work on for videos for you guys in the next bit. So, until next time, see ya!